And truly I reiterate to you that nothing's small. No lily muffled hum of a summer bee, but finds some coupling with the spinning stars, wrote one poet. Still many are called, but few are chosen. And once upon a time, in a mythical land of wonder, arriving in 1920, like a thunderstorm in Rockingham County, North Carolina, and driving a 7-passenger Buick just across the Virginia state line from Danville, his paternal grandfather was probably a former slave, just like his paternal great-grandfather, before he went on to erect a church that today stands on the National Historic Registry, over a century and a half year old. He went on to become a franchise martyr, but his maternal great-grandfather had escaped the Holocaust in Germany and had arrived in the land of opportunity as an orphan via another route. Passing by that lady with the torch, raising high her arm in the Manhattan Harbor, one of those huddled masses yearning to breathe free. And if you were ever to venture to the Big Apple, you might have a chance to visit Ellis Island to reflect on those like his great-grandfather, who were drawn to the teeming shores of a place called America. No pebble at your foot but proves the sphere. No chaffinch but implies the cherubim. But if perchance you were to take a mental journey across America, perhaps to visit that city of brotherly love, where the founders had signed a great Declaration of Independence, you might have a chance to visit that train station that today bears the name of his godfather, who had also been the son of a black Protestant pastor, but who went on to become the president of the United Negro College Fund, where a mind is a terrible thing to waste. But only after he had followed his father's footsteps to assume the pastorship of his father's 5,000-member Black Baptist Church on Broad Street, before being elected to the United States House of Representatives, where he had become the first black chairman of the House Budget Committee and the first black House Majority Whip. And glancing on my own thin, veined wrist, in such a little tremor of the blood, the whole strong clamor of a vehement soul doth utter itself distinct. Yet if you cared to travel to Atlanta, you might have a chance to visit the eternal flame that burns bright on Auburn Avenue, for a former friend of his father, and a man with whom he had shared a spiritual mentor, who had been the former president of Morehouse College and HBCU in Atlanta. He had stood up the counterintelligence cell in response to the pipe bombing that disturbed the summer games there in the Centennial Village, just as he had done when domestic terrorists had attacked a federal building in Oklahoma City. Earth crammed with heaven, and every common bush afire with God. But only he who sees takes off his shoes. The rest sit round it and pluck blackberries, and down their natural faces unaware, more and more from the verisimilitude. And immediately after we were hit with the virus, it was met with silence. One former childhood protege of a legendary civil rights attorney found it incumbent upon himself, even though not elected, as a former biological warfare planner and federal whistleblower, to become what has been described as a litigation hobbyist, docketing for certiorari as many as almost a dozen cases brought all the way to the nation's highest court in the land. A half dozen in just under a year. And according to the nation's highest court, the only competent evidence that could be presented to the court to prove these propositions was the testimony of experts giving their opinions. And according to one national party platform, when we do not have competent, experienced, and compassionate leaders in government, the American people suffer. That is the case of the novel coronavirus. Many prominent scientists agree that a failure to comprehensively investigate the zoonotic origin through collaborative and carefully coordinated studies would leave the world vulnerable to future pandemics arising from those very same human activities that have repeatedly put us on a collision course with novel viruses. Sadly, the virus isn't stupid, but human behavior in this pandemic hasn't served us very well. Surely, we have learned by now that we underestimate this virus at our own peril. It's not very easy being a not a serious option candidate, but sometimes when you have to work for it, you appreciate it all the more. And if you really want something, according to one novelist, an alchemist, the whole universe will conspire against itself to bring it about. Or perhaps these are only the things of which fairy tales are made. But still, some have a dream today. Major Mike Webb. It's about choice. It's about the future. And it's about time. This message was approved by Major Mike Webb. Honest. This has been a Filmways presentation, darling.
And y'all come back now. Yeah.